Creating reviews of movies which have been out for a while and most of the viewers have already seen them is always fraught with risk. People have seen the movies, they have either liked or disliked them, and what they are looking for in these reviews is whether they agree with you or not. So to everyone who is in that boat, I would say, hear me out, watch the video in full before you form an opinion. Hello people, welcome back to the channel. Ever since I did the first trailer reaction for Diya, there have been loads and loads of requests asking me to watch the movie. All of these comments have been really positive. There has not been a bad word about it. I was definitely warned that it is an atypical love story. There are lots of twists and turns and the ending is very unexpected. So I don't know how much it colored my expectations when I was going in watching this movie, but I can say that this is a movie that I enjoyed in large parts. This is a brilliantly made movie and one which is very difficult to review without giving some spoilers. I will try my best, and in the first part of this video I will try and stay away from any spoilers, but it's impossible to review it without giving some spoilers. I will try and keep them to a minimum and I will try and keep them towards the end of the video. At its core, this is a movie about 4 characters. So there's Diya, there is Rohit, there is Adi and Adi's mom. And everything that happens in the movie revolves around these people. Diya is the thread that goes through the whole movie, and that was something that I picked up on when I watched the first trailer, that this is being told from her perspective. It's a back to the basics, no frills kind of love story, which is very uncommon in recent times at least. The only recent movie I can think of is 96, the love story of Ram and Janu. There are some similarities, but they're nothing to do with how the movies are made or what the movies are about, but how they make you feel. So everyone talks about the story and the climax of this movie, but I think the big surprise of the movie is that the movie is totally devoid of all the trappings of commercial cinema. There are no songs, there are no item numbers, there are no over-the-top shenanigans, there is no running around the trees in this movie. That's not the kind of movie that this is. The director has decided to go his own way, and in the process he has made a movie which is eye-catching, which is new, which is fresh, but he has torn the full rule book of making love stories. The characters are so well fleshed out, they are very well defined, they're thrown into some unfortunate circumstances and they react very naturally to that. All the actors in this movie have acted brilliantly. There was nothing that I could fault. Comparatively, there is not as much for Rohit and Adi's mother to do, but in the limited scope of their roles, they have done really well. For me, Diya and Adi are the central characters of this movie, and the casting decision to cast these 2 actors is brilliant. I don't know how much it affected you guys, but because I had not seen these 2 people in any of the previous roles, they came across as the characters, not as the stars or actors behind those characters. And I think that made the movie really special. In large parts, the editing was also brilliant, especially in the beginning when you see how Diya is preparing to try and speak to Rohit, and also later on when Diya is recounting her story to Adi. Now in a formulaic commercial movie, a lot of time would have been spent on that, but here the editor has done a brilliant job. It does not feel rushed. I mean, throughout the movie you feel like it is going at a very gentle pace, but it is covering a very lengthy timeline, and full credit should go to the editor for combining these 2 aspects perfectly. The background score is the signature of this movie and it's devoid of any songs, but without this background score I don't think it would have been as effective. This is something that you can immediately identify with this movie. Something else that also appealed to me was this bike ride from Bangalore to Mangalore. That whole location and how it was shot was really beautiful. I mean, it made me want to take out a Royal Enfield and do that bike ride. So while all of these things were going around, I think the real success of the movie and why it has appealed to so many people is the director's ability to make you feel like the characters are feeling. So you are happy with the characters, you are sad with the characters, you are bamboozled by the turn of events just as the characters are, and you can feel all of that. And I think that's where the real success of the movie lies. So when I said that there are some similarities with 96, that's exactly what I meant. You felt for the characters of Ram and Janu, and here you feel for the character of Diya. You can feel the emotions, and the director has done a brilliant job in bringing that out and making you as a viewer feel exactly what Diya is feeling. That covers probably 96% of the movie, and 96% of it is brilliant. It's the remaining 4% that I have a problem with. The movie is about 2 hours 15 minutes long, and it is the last 10 or 12 minutes where a couple of problems crop up. Now before you switch off the video, or press the dislike button. Hear me out. This is what I was talking about in the beginning of the video. From the beginning of the movie, I think what set this movie apart is the fact that the events, the acting, the reactions of those characters and how they are behaving and how they are deciding the next steps, all of it is very natural. All of it builds up on what has happened in the past. There is nothing which you can call like a filmy twist. The typical thing that the writers or directors of commercial cinema do, where they have an end goal in mind and they will make the events, they will make the story fit that event. And this movie did not do that. From the beginning of the movie, the turn of events, the reaction of the characters, the way the actors have behaved and acted on the screen, everything seems very natural. The writer has done a brilliant job of keeping the viewers on their toes. So anytime you begin to get a little bit comfortable, there is a twist in the story, but it does not come across as unnatural. This is where the spoilers start. So if you haven't watched the movie, you can switch off right now and then come back to this video once you've watched the movie. I can guarantee you that it'll be worth it. Obviously, if you've watched this movie, carry on. Now, every time you begin to get a little bit comfortable, the writer throws in a bit of a twist, and that keeps you interested in it, that keeps you engaged throughout the movie. But none of this comes across as unnatural. Just when we are getting ready for Dia to propose to Rohit, he suddenly disappears to Korea. So you think, okay, now this movie has taken a turn. You try and adjust to that, and Rohit comes back and he's in Bombay, and then that track restarts. As soon as you become a little bit comfortable with that, Rohit gets into an accident and the whole story goes topsy-turvy. And similarly, there are lots of events like this which keep on happening. Meeting up with Adi and falling in love with Adi, and then finding out that Rohit has come back and he was alive all the time. And then obviously in the end, the climax. The writer doesn't let you get comfortable, but all of this is believable. However, at the 2-hour mark or so, I thought the movie was getting really interesting. There was a conundrum at hand. It's like a puzzle, and I was quite interested in seeing how the writer and the director will resolve it. So Dia, who has gone through so much in the movie, and at times I just felt that the writer probably has a grudge against this character. She can never be happy. I mean, as soon as there is a hint of happiness, there is a cruel twist of fate, and it happens repeatedly. As soon as she's at the cusp of happiness, something tragic happens. I felt for her character throughout the movie, and I was wondering how this situation will be resolved now that Adi is there, Rohit is there, and Dia, after having gone through so much and having decided that she no longer loves Rohit, how will the writers bring this to a resolution? So up until this point, they had not done anything formulaic, they had not done anything commercial. So what is it that they can do which will not seem out of character for the movie, which will keep it consistent? So I was really interested at that point, but then a couple of things happened. So Dia's decisions were being made for her by Adi, and then after that by Rohit. Normally I would have said, but how are these characters so holier than thou? I mean, everyone is trying to sacrifice themselves for the good of the other person. But the story had flowed so naturally that I did not find that out of character for anyone. That's how I expected that they would behave at that point. But still, the decisions were being made for her. Dia had no role in making that decision. Even then, I mean, she was in a really difficult position, and without a push from either Adi or Rohit, I don't know if she would have made any decision at all. So everything was fine up until that point. Finally, she has made a decision. She is going to go to Adi. Up until now, the track of Adi and his mother was a nice track to have, but it was not the central track of the movie. The central track was Dia and her stories with Rohit, and then later on with Adi. But suddenly this became the one that changes the whole story. Here again, we were invested enough in the character of Adi's mother that I was still okay with that. And then it was a climax that completely threw me. I mean, that's not what I had expected. I'm sure I'm not alone in that. It just seemed like Adi's mother's death and then Adi's death. The writer and the director took the easy way out. They did not try and resolve the story using anything intelligent. They basically went for a twist. They basically went for a twist and a shock factor. Now, I can probably understand why they might have done that. I think without that twist, without that shocking climax, I don't think so many people would have been talking about this one. Maybe they would have come back and said, it's a nice movie and you should go and watch it, but there would not be as many discussions about it. So from one perspective, I can understand why they decided to make that choice. But from a viewer who was invested in that story up until that point, and was so interested in finding out how are they going to resolve this puzzle. I was a little bit disappointed by the end of that. But like I said, that was probably 4-5% of the movie. It still wouldn't stop me from recommending it to others, people who have not watched it. I will probably watch it again sometime, and that's saying a lot. I usually don't go and watch a movie again unless it's a real good movie. Dia and Adi, who had the meatier roles of all the characters in this movie, they did a really good job. The casting was brilliant, the acting was brilliant, but most of all, it was the direction which made this movie. It's very rare that your views about the characters or who you are rooting for changes as the movie progresses, and it's a difficult job because once the director has done the hard job of making you root for the first couple, which in this case was Dia and Rohit, how do you actually repeat that again, and how do you make the viewers basically get the same feelings for another couple? And I found towards the end of it that Dia's decision of going to Adi was the right one, and that's what I was hoping she would do, and that's what she did. But then, like the rest of the movie, the director and the writer thought, well, you're not having that. We are going to introduce another twist. There were a lot of clever things within the whole movie, how the events and the realization that the characters have, the emotions that they go through, it basically mirrors how Dia used to feel in the first part with Rohit. And unknown to us, Rohit has been going through the same kind of emotions in the first part, and then similar sort of things happen in the second part with Adi and Dia. So I think there was a lot of referencing going on within the movie, and you were invested in it, you were familiar with it, and that usually is a good indication that the movie has been good because you have understood and the style of direction and the storytelling that has been used so far. The director almost makes you hope what is going to happen based on what you have understood from the character because it has been done so consistently. If you disagree with what my views on the climax were, I'm sure there will be a lot of you who do disagree with me. I'm more than happy to have a discussion. Just write it down in the comments and let me know why you thought what I said was not right and what your perspective is. Regardless, at least in 2020 so far, this is the best movie I have seen. That's all for now. I will wait for your comments to pour in, and I'm sure some of you will disagree, but that's the way it goes. That's why I gave that huge explanation in the beginning. But thank you for watching till the end. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and share this video with your friends and family.